Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? Yeah, you might notice something a little bit different this evening. This has been something that's been on the list for ages, but I managed to grab Rob the other day while he was working next door, and I've robbed a load of the new pieces we've got for the Koi Talk podcast to throw in here to show you where I want to just move and upgrade the question time setup a little bit. Now, you're going to have to bear with me because if you saw what was happening in front of me right now, I've got a camera as opposed to the webcam on my laptop, say one of the podcast ones that we're planning on using. And so anytime I'm looking at my screen, you're going to see this, me looking down a little bit more so than usual, to be fair. And I've got to look down to see the questions and bits and bobs that are coming on. So there we go. But yeah, I hope you like it. It's still got quite a few more tweaks and bits and bobs to do. Like I say, we literally did just throw this together, but it's one that's been on the list for quite a while now to get them upgrades going. So feel free to let me know in the comments what you think to it. And yeah, as ever, please feel free to start firing some questions in now to get stuck into this evening. I think as from next week's episode, you'll get to see some of the other tweaks that we're doing to build this hour out every week and make it as interesting as possible for you guys, which I'm excited to share with you. So yeah, there we go. I'm just getting used to this still. This is good fun. This is going to be. So yeah, midway through, got a few bits to look at, but for now, we did get oh yeah, there we go. Yes, I've had my hair done as well. I even had a shave last week, folks. How's that for you? Treating you all up. Yeah, so let me just get into the swing of this. And yeah, there we go. I've not got too much stuff to sort of run through this evening, to be fair. I've got a few interesting videos dropping on the channel this week, journal videos, including the trip out to Sunnybank Koi I had just before... was it before Christmas? I'm not even sure. I think it might have been back in November. We're ripping through them. So yeah, well worth a look. I had a look around their new shop. Really interesting video, that one. And yeah, we're going to be dropping an offer on Koi Talk magazine back issues as well midway through. So look out for that. There'll be a special discount code that's available for 24 hours only. But yeah, other than that, it's just very busy. Fish at the minute. Absolutely wild. Yeah, for those of you who are involved in that Taniguchi grow out from last year, I know it's been a bit frustrating, but we've finally got a headway on a shipping date for that, which I was hoped to have locked in. And as soon as we've got that locked in this week, we'll be sending out all the videos and information to people. So please do look out for that. Yeah, other than that, fish Toai that we've had in early doors, growing really well. The NND Kohaku, part of the Sunnybank Koi event, they are really hitting their stride now for all those involved. Kase grow out, pretty much the same. They are absolutely flying. It's insane what them things are doing. Really impressed. It's always fascinating with a batch of fish. The NND Kohaku have been going through this where they're at a point where it looks like they're not doing anything. And I have to be really careful not to just fire the food up too much because that'll just send the pond into a spin. So it's a case of slowly building up that feeding until we get to a point where they're happy, they're getting enough, the pond's coping with it, and all of a sudden they go from looking like they're doing nothing to the body sort of pops out, and away we go. So we build from there. And yeah, other than that, been having to sort out of a few ponds. Amazing video, sort of the Dainichi male pond out, or say Dainichi pretty much was male, bar two fish. Got a phenomenal video on that that'll drop at some point this month as well. And then we're on to shipments. I've been sourcing some phenomenal stock, obviously stuff I did in Japan. Don't stop when I'm here either because you can't. And yeah, some of the stuff I've bagged this week, I am absolutely delighted about. What I like about this year is we're going to bring a lot more diversity in. Managed to get some things done with some breeders that are going to be, I think, new, maybe not new names for you, but as an availability and access to the fish is never that easy. So yeah, some ones we've got some really interesting stuff, some of which I'm going to share with you today, where I've got actually a video of one of 3 parent fish I was shown from this. I bought a whole pond of Toai at this farm, pretty much cleared everything out, his whole year's crop, other than his Tatigoi. And yeah, it's a really, really exciting batch. So I'll get into that a bit more a bit later on. Yes, so let's just have a quick flick through the comments. You see me when that head dips down, folks. I am, having a look at what's going on. Well, there's an interesting one. Do you rate Tamor Koi Farm? Yes, I do rate Tamor Koi Farm. They produce some phenomenal quality fish with, and a lot of Go Saki with phenomenal qualities. I think the thing for me there is when I rate breeders and what they're doing, I look at the general quality of the Toai mainly and the general stuff that's on sale. And for me, I think at Tamor, it's a lot about the few fish every year that are available. And for me, they get a lot of strong patterns, but the fish that are strong more in the mid sizes as opposed to the bigger end of it. And to be fair, it's just something I generally tend to do. There's been a lot of noise around Tamor, a lot of people buying fish from there, and I tend to stay away from that and look elsewhere while stuff like that's happening. It was the same with the buzz around Maruyama after his All Japan win. Pretty much the same, but I think what happens is the market just gets flooded with the stuff as well. But that's kind of how I rate Tamor. And generally when I look, it's what's available for the masses. And generally I'd say those fish are okay. But I think the biggest thing for me is, and looking who to deal with, especially when the higher end fish, is how do those fish actually fare at All Japan level? Because when you get into the expensive stuff, the koi shows in Japan are incredibly important. And I don't see Tamor as a farm that's generally bagging a lot of awards. They do win prizes, obviously, but when we're looking at the majors, it's not a name that you see crop up. So, when we're looking at that and I kind of profile a breeder, it is an important thing that I look at. But say, take nothing away from the qualities of the fish they produce. There is some absolutely stunning stuff and some cracking patterns. But yeah, when it comes to certain varieties, you take Saki, for example, you can only keep buying Saki from so many places. And I've got those I prefer, such as Tucano, NND, the Sakai stuff when you can get hold of it, obviously. But yeah, they are strong fish. But like I say, we've all got different ways we analyze a breeder. But what Tamor does tend to seem to do is deliver fish that they suit the tastes. They really do suit the taste of a lot of European buyers, especially with the strong patterns. And you seem to get a lot of value for money at Tamor in that regard. I think when you move into the sort of the pattern quality that Tamor can offer at a price point, if you want that same pattern quality at the likes of a Sakai, you're going to be probably 2 or 3 times the price, which puts them out of reach for a lot. So that's again how I look at stuff. But yeah, not to say I think he's a solid breeder. Right, I've got one right at the top. Kelly, hi Ricky. I have an opportunity to purchase Natsuka Asagi. It's 49 cm, just coming up to 3 years. It's very pale. Can just see it. So there we go. Follow on pattern coming through and a tiny bit of Benny on one cheek and one fin. Is it likely to colour up and develop further, or is it likely to be a wishy-washy one? Thanks. Yeah, so what I'd say with that, normally, I mean, 3 years, you've still got hope, but I'd like a bit more sign of it from a Sansai of the colour coming through, to be honest. But it could just be the water that it's been in, the environment that it's been kept in. So I wouldn't write it off. It's just going to depend at what price point that is. But if there's a little bit, you've got a chance, and it might just need a change of environment to actually get the process going. But knowing how it's been kept would help with something like that. But generally speaking, if I was looking at one from Natsuka in Japan at 3 years old, it was only showing a tiny bit, I would be a little bit skeptical around it and wouldn't want to be paying top price. I'd be expecting a bit more Benny to be showing through at that point. See what else we've got. I've got some a few other videos actually lined up to show you. It's yeah, some really strong. I was one of the ponds of fish. You probably actually saw the video that dropped a couple of days ago, journal video, and those fish I separated the 30, I think it was 30 pieces that went into one pond. absolutely amazing. They've been flying, and yeah, lifted a couple up and managed to get to one of Danichi Kawaku in particular. A lot of them have breached over the 50 border now, well in and well on the way to hopefully hitting that sort of target of 55 cm by spring. So yeah, a couple of them I've got lined up to share with you as well. Tom, yes, we'll be doing a video of the Kaze showers before we send them all out. Obviously, we want to get an update in, because honestly, I think the difference between them, everybody's going to be shocked to have really come on leaps and bounds in a short space of time. Ian, just want to say thanks if you're in the team sorting out entry to AJKS. Yep, Ian's purchased an amazing NND Kohaku through one of our dealers. Yes, I mean, phenomenal, and best of luck, mate. I think it's a fish that's going to do really well. When I first came across it, I just instantly thought koi show, and it's bang on the top of its size class as well, which will be helpful. But you are in the Kohaku division, and that is the liveliest one of the lot, Ian. So yeah, best of luck. You have got a strong fish. Many entries myself, just a couple, really not focusing too much on all that at the minute. There's quite a few more of clients' fish, but my actual own fish, just a couple. One shower, which hopefully at Dainichi Toyota, actually, if it's come good, it's got a really strong chance of winning something pretty big, to be fair, because it was looking phenomenal. But it's a fish, actually a small sansai now, that was being size controlled. And when I saw it, it was so skinny. But I saw this pump actually had air source heat pump running in reverse, so it was chilling the water, keeping it at 15 at that point. He had it down at, and then he said that was back in December. They were just about to turn to start hitting it hard on the food. So let's wait and see with that one. It's always good fun at the All Japan, because it's just so competitive, and yeah, anything there, even a third place is phenomenal. So let's wait and see. There's a good one. How to spot online scammers selling koi from overseas. This is generally, I think this is a good rule for life in general. If it seems too good to be true, then it probably is, in all fairness. And yeah, there's no, these guys, I think, are just so blatant. The kind of fish that they're offering, you get these big, expensive looking fish, you know, really striking things for not a lot of money. Just stay well away from it. And it just always seems to come up true. If it seems too good to be true, then it probably is, and stay away and actually do some research. You know, if someone's offering you something, dig into their Facebook page, ask around if it's somebody that they know, and somebody who's not legitimate soon going to come up. And that's probably the best advice I can give you on that one, with koi and with anything else, to be fair. Let's have a look. Rob, evening. You made a lot of videos about raising Toai on his side. Could you do a more detailed video about 3, 4, 5 years, etc.? Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be stuff that's working through, Rob, because we've got a couple of ponds now coming to fruition. The Dainichi one that I just mentioned has been Nisai through to Sansai this year. And then my main pond is one that I'm not ready to call time on yet, but that's got fish now up to 5 years. Hopefully a Saki getting on for 80 cm in there as well. But the basic principles are still pretty much the same. The only thing I generally tend to change when it gets to Nisai growing through to Sansai often is the feeding cycle, because they don't feed as, you can't keep the, you know, every 2 hours like the Toai. You're not going to get away with. So it's often just switched to an every 3 hour cycle. But yeah, other than that, don't change too much of anything else. You know, you've got to keep pushing these things. If you want to get the big sizes, you've got to keep pushing them through all the ages, same temperatures, you know, get a little bit of fluctuation. Just generally with the bigger fish, what you'll tend to find is certainly when they hit a solid 3 years and above, temperature affects them a bit more, because obviously oxygen consumption this summer, the big stuff I've had, it was hard to get the food into them during the height of the summer because the water was too warm. So I have waited with them now till we kind of reach this autumn season where I'm back in full control of the temperature. and just lobbying kind of between 22 and 24, depending on what we're doing. Push a bit more length, head towards 24, build up the body a bit more, drop down towards 22. Let's say it's really not that different when it comes to it. It's just the feeding volumes and the stocking levels will change drastically. And that's one thing, you know, my big pond, I've delivered some great results in there with the big fish this year. But for me, they would have been much better if I could have got the stocking level lower, because the amount of food you need to feed per fish on for 80 centimeters is really vast. So it's just, yeah, really, you know, the resources can get really, really stretched. But yeah, like I say, other than that, it's really not that much more difference than any of the other stuff, to be fair. Right, let's see what else we've got. Rory, how are you doing, buddy? Do you think you'll get more Black Zeus this year or next? What's your selection criteria for them, bar the usual body bone structure? I've had no luck with Okawa Kaku going all white in my pond. Wow, they don't often go that way over in the UK, to be fair. But yeah, I don't think we'll have them this year, because apparently the spawning wasn't a success. I've heard a couple of things on this now. Heard it firsthand from one of the staff that I'm friends with, that they didn't manage to take it to kind of the next generation spawning. But then also seeing it actually on one of Evo's videos when they were talking about it, and Shigeru actually said they was kind of giving it a couple of years to see how the things progressed before they spawned them again. So the truth is in there somewhere, but the real truth in that is there is none this year that I'm aware of. The same as yet to find out if any Ginrin Karashigo or the Yellow Monkeys are going to come to market as well. So again, two different stories on them. One saying they weren't a great result. When I asked Shigeru about them directly, he just says, "Oh, they're sold out." So again, truth in there somewhere. We'll see, but I don't think there is many, and certainly no Zeus. But fingers crossed they do come back to it. But yeah, selection's an interesting one with them, because you can, if you're selecting them at Toai, pretty much kiss goodbye to studying the pattern, because they changed too much. A lot of the ones I've got and had were absolutely full head to tail jet black as Toai. I was just selecting them on body and the kind of Ginrin Uroko pattern they had underneath the scale pattern. And then, yeah, it's just a typical young Kamonryu do, which they are deep down. The Sumi fell off as they started growing, and then at some point the real pattern started emerging. So they really do keep you on your toes, them ones. So, but the real focus for me would be body, and just how interesting is that Ginrin scale pattern on top of the fish. But fingers crossed they do bring them back. I think they're really interesting. I've got a Sanzai female, which I've not really shown a lot. Bought that as Nisai at 62 cm last year, and I'm expecting that fish to be around 75, 72, 75, hopefully, as Sanzai. But the body on the thing is just insane for a Deutz fish. It's just exceptional, because his body line is perfect, regardless of it being Deutsch scale, whatever it is, it's just perfect. So you will get to see a little bit more of that one soon enough. But yeah, I like it when the big breeders start doing this stuff, because it's certainly very, very interesting, and there's always an interesting take to it. Bugman, why can't you sell to the public? It's not a case of I can't. I could do if I wanted to and chose to. It's just out of respect for the dealers that I work with. Really, you know, they're a great extension and allow us through that network to reach a lot more people overall than we do dealing directly. My time's incredibly stretched. So it wouldn't be a case of if I was dealing directly with public, it wouldn't be a case of I'd be dealing with everybody. It'd be quite the opposite. Because I've got so much stuff going on. It's very rare as well. I get to deal, you know, that much with all the customers I deal with at the moment, and the number is far fewer than it would be if I was dealing directly with the public. And I'm very, very keen to ensure that that service is as good as it can be. And yeah, let's say we work with some really, really great dealers who provide great services all day round, you know, all year round. And that's not something that we would have the time for, and I'm very conscious of that fact. And as well as that, it would take away from what we're doing content wise, and I feel like this channel alone can actually, when it comes help and support, allows us to reach so many more people and benefit so many more people than just on that one-to-one basis. So that's why we do it that way. I wouldn't want, the hybrid, as I see it's not really fair to be taking those sales away from the people that we're dealing with when they do so much in between us just selling somebody a fish. It's really important you have that fallback service there, and that's what I'm conscious of if it came to something like that. But you never know what the future brings, but as it stands, that's where we're at, and that's why I don't do it. So there we go. Grey Fox, hey Ricky, awesome videos. Would you be interested to come to the States for a koi show in August? We're trying to find some guests to come out. You'll be great. Thank you for all the information. Wow, yeah, I mean, August should be doable. Great. To be fair, feel free to drop me an email. I don't know if the wife's watching this, but she'll definitely have to come. We was actually on about a break going to New York again for 3 or 4 days at some point. So yeah, drop me some information over, and we'll have a look if something's possible. So I can't see why not. And yeah, I could tie that in with a break with the missus as well. So yeah, happy days. I'd love to get involved and see what's going on over in the States. So yeah, interesting stuff. Cheers, Crafty. Good to see. Yeah, I look better than you did on that picture I saw you the other day, mate. I know what the hell is going on there. I hope you're feeling better, because you couldn't have looked any worse than what you did on there, mate. Graham, I think I've got a bit of a half question there. Unheated when coming out of winter into spring. Graham, if you want to come back to me on that one and finish it. Oh, there we go. I'm unheated when coming out of winter going into spring. My routine is a 50% water change and add salt 0.3 to help them get ready for spring. What's your thoughts? Yeah, Graham, to be honest, I can't see. All I can see there, 50% water change is screaming stress to me. Especially if you don't get that water right, or that water isn't right going in. I can't see the need for that. Salt in spring, if you're unheated, salt is a great thing to have at that level. It can just help with the stress, because it just relieves some osmotic pressure to allow the body and the immune system, more chance to fight off things naturally. So yeah, absolutely no issues with salt maintained at 0.3. What I have got, and that actually brings me on to something that I've seen a couple of videos again coming up, and I've just randomly clicked on. And when salt to me, right, in general, and sorry, just to finish this, great on the 0.3 with the salt, maybe even a bit stronger if your fish aren't looking 100%, so maybe up to like 0.6 at the most. But at 0.6 you only want to be in there for a couple of weeks, and if they're really not looking great. But that 0.3 is a great background level just to say help iron out some of the bumps in the ride from spring, or out of winter into spring, and then spring into summer. So no issues with that. But yeah, so let me just very explicitly say there is no debate around whether salt is good for koi or not. And I've said this before in the past. Yeah, it is absolutely not a debate. There are certain times, and on the hobbyist side of things, it's less important, because you're not dealing with some of the stuff we are commercially, and like the breeders as well. But from our perspective and the breeders' perspective, let me tell you now, without salt, when certain things like sleeping sickness hit and severe stress events, we would have mortality rates close to 100%. It is that brutal. We cannot deal with sleeping disease and viral illness without salt and without heat. Without heat, we can, but normally things would get hold. If we've got no heat, but we've got salt, certainly, we could do more than just having none of it. But yeah, it's really not a debate. For them severe stress events and times, it's absolutely crucial. Koi have an internal salt concentration regulated by the osmotic process, and when that starts to fail, we have to support it. We have to prop it up. And that's what salt in the water does. I think the debate is the way in which people have used salt and the reasons for doing it. And when I see people using it to treat parasites, taking it up to like 0.9% for prolonged periods, I don't like seeing that. I don't think that's a great use, and I think it's a very inefficient and ineffective way of treating parasites generally. And then, you know, furthermore to that, when we've just got people randomly chucking in salt, again, absolutely pointless, because if you don't use salt at the right concentrations, it's not going to do anything. So it's pointless it being in there. And again, it's just getting the right level at the right time and depending on what you're using it for. But in those few scenarios, it is our only go-to. If we've got fish suffering with severe viral illness, or, you know, particularly sleeping sickness, and you hit them with medication trying to do it, you just make 10 things 10 times worse, because the body is starting to fail. You know, everything in there is not working properly. So without the salt, we're absolutely screwed. So please, if you do see any of those kicking around like it's some kind of debate anywhere, it absolutely isn't. It's a real crucial piece of equipment in our armory to use to keep things right. You know, there's no end of times when I just can't put my finger on a problem. I mean, look what it can do protecting against nitrite for brown blood disease. It's not a permanent fix, don't get me wrong, but it's absolutely, you know, a great thing just to put in there that's not going to add any more burden to the fish's body. But again, it needs to be used at the right levels, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't want to be in there absolutely all the time. For koi dealers, it is actually quite a good idea in retail systems to have a permanent background of 0.3%, because it's such a high stress environment with netting, fish in and out and all things like that. It's quite handy, and it will do no harm. But in your general hobbyist pond, yeah, no need, you know, specifically, unless there's a lot of stress. Again, when you've got new fish coming in, it can all help. Just take away some of the problems from fish mixing. But again, it all depends on how you use it. I see people rush to get it out as well. The only time you need to be rushing to get it out is if you're at a stronger level like 0.6. You want to probably get it, you know, you've had your couple of weeks, you want to get it back down to that 0.3 and then naturally just let that phase out over time. It's really not going to do anything. So that's where I am on that. And say, I hope that come across as strong as it was intended, because yeah, I really tired of seeing that it's like it's some kind of debate. If I ask this question to a breeder, which I probably should do at some time, and record the reaction, I think that would probably put that one to bed for good. So there we go. There's a good one, Tom. I have some Danichi Bron Samurai earlier in the year. Any chance you'll be bringing some over? Yeah, I think that was actually, I remember one of them being featured on Evo's videos, but I don't think that's anything that's gone into production. And that's one of them moments I've kind of mentioned before, breeder getting a little bit carried away and sort of chucking in a name for something, a bit of a one-off that they've produced, and getting everybody excited. But as far as I'm aware, we're yet to see the full herd of Toai that Danichi throw out this year. The up-and-coming auctions will probably show that a bit more. But yeah, as of right now, and I saw that fish, to be honest with you, and it's not something I would have rushed to get into. I think it was more of a failed variety that, just because of the size of it, managed to look quite attractive. But I should imagine Toai that were kind of similar to that really wouldn't have any appeal either, Tom, to be fair. Michael, can you get Saki growth and colour in small pellet? Can't find any online. So you cannot get it in the smaller size bags, but you can get it in the 15 kilos. That's actually something I push for a lot, because before I actually started using it, I wanted some assurances that I would be able to get that. It is all produced in Japan, but the handling agent over here for the stuff picks and chooses the product lines that they want. So I did make sure that the small pellet would be available, but it is only in the 15 kilo bags, unfortunately, which is quite frustrating. But probably in that case, you know, if there's a few guys out there who need it, if you've got one of your koi circles or groups that you're involved in, you know, there might be something there where you could buy it between you and split it down. Because I think, yeah, small pellet usage generally for a grow on tank, as I know people have them, 15 kilos would probably end up lasting 2 or 3 years. So, and especially then if you want to mix, it's going to mean you're buying 30 kilos of food. So, yeah, it might be a good way of looking at that one, but it is out there. I think there might also be the only one, if I remember right, because I'm not up on the retail lines that they have, but I think Saki Balance came in 2 kg with the small pellet, but the only one that I'm aware of, unfortunately. And if there's any of the dealers watching tonight who stock Saki, you might be able to tell me a bit more of what's available there. I literally only know what I can get in the sacks. Paul, I got 2 yellow monkeys from Matt Shield, Prestige Koi. I think he still has some, as he bought a few of them. Yes, absolutely. I think Matt has still got some from what I think he did have some earlier in the year. And as far as I'm aware, Paul at the Oaks Koi Farm and Crafty over at Perfect have all still got some. And that they are the reason those people, those evil people, as to why I don't have any anymore myself, and not likely to get any this year. So I don't think I'm going to get over that one in a hurry, to be honest. But yeah, if you are after one, feel free to get in touch with one of them guys, and feel free to also, if they don't see this, tell them how annoyed I am that they've got them and I haven't. Simon, what is the best way to buy fish from you? Just through any of the dealers. You know, on our blog, you can find a list of all the people that we sell to, or generally the ones we work closer with. There's a few groups I'm involved in, as well as that. I know I've got Steve in the background. You could join the Koi Wholesale WhatsApp group. Steve, if we have got some details, do you want to fire them up on the screen if they're still in there? Yeah, which we do send some stuff out, fish that are available through our dealer network. Oh, there you go. Look, you can scan that QR code and join the group there. And yeah, we do post quite a bit, and we can point you in the direction. Generally, with that, we'll handle the transaction, and you know, at the point of once you've committed to something, we'll put you in touch with the dealer of your choosing to process the transaction and take it all from there. The website always seems to be one that slips away from us. You see, the front end of the website doesn't change too much, but we have a back end to it that the dealers access, which has got auctions and all kinds of stuff going on at various different times, which you do have to remember, guys, that we are a wholesaler, but we do our best to put as much out there as we can for you guys. But that's what we've just found with the WhatsApp. It's very fast paced and just much easier and quicker to get stuff out there as and when we've got it. And actually on that one, yeah, we're getting closer to announcing our, we're still not named it yet, actually. We come up with one the other day, Battle of the Breeders, which it might well be, and that might be a bit of an indication as to what's coming. But our main physical event, like we did the Secret Saki last year, the version this year, the batch of fish I've secured for it is absolutely insane. But it's from multiple of the biggest breeders in Japan, various different fish, very different varieties, different breeders, a whole mix and cocktail of stuff. So yeah, I think maybe towards the end of this month, we're going to be releasing full details, dates and ticket sales on that one. But I will keep you in the loop. I'm sure based on the popularity and success of last year, this year's is going to be probably an even quicker sellout than last year's was. So yes, stay tuned for that one as well. Oh yeah, evening, mum. I was just saying to my wife Charlie earlier that I've not spoke to my mum for a bit. I've been had my head down. To be fair, got a lot to do at the minute. A lot of you out there will say that's no excuse, but I'm sticking with that one for now. Right, let's see what else we've got. And in a minute, what is it? I've not paid half as much attention to the screen this evening, to be fair, with this new setup. But let's have a look. For a laugh, are you going to enter the exclusively Koi and Lee Adfield Tamor Sabre on event? That just wouldn't be fair, would it, Clive? Let's face it, mate. So no, we'll stay out of that one. But would be good fun. Cannot wait to get the new Tamor Sabre stock over this year, to be fair. And I have actually bought two new pets, two that are going to be future beasts to go with the other beast, because it is my aim. I want a collection of those savage big lumps of Tamor Sabres, and this NND line is proving it can do it. I got to see some of the parent fish as well, just absolutely bonkers. But I have got an incredible crop of Toai coming, many of which I actually handpicked as well, which was really nice to be able to do. Oh, there we go. Great. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Get on really well with Evo always, and yeah, we do some nice collaboration together. So yeah, let's see if we can sort something out. Quite exciting. Alan, can you do a video on how to use a seine net on a concrete pond? Yes, we potentially could do. There's not too much to it. It's more about getting the net right, to be fair. And that'd be some big pond to need a seine net, to be fair. But yeah, we can do that next time we're netting the pond up. I'll probably include it as a part, if I don't forget, that is, with all the ideas and bits I have. But yeah, let's wait and see. Stephen, there seems to be so many trips to Japan over autumn and winter. When would you recommend going for the first time? Just want to go to experience the harvest. Yeah, Stephen, I'd absolutely go with the harvest period. Kind of, October really is the super key month for it. Just reason being is there is a lot more going on, and it's not quite, I say not quite, it's very business orientated, but there are things you can do to break the trip up, like the harvests, bits and bobs, lots of auctions going on and everything else. So when you get to kind of spring, or if you was to go now and the snows come down heavy, the only thing you can literally go and do is look at the fish in the fish houses. Often not as many fish to select. You can't just willy-nilly select Toai at these places. So yeah, and obviously sightseeing is a lot more limited if you want to break some of that, just due to the season. But yeah, October would be the absolute pick, I think, for a first time, to make it the most inclusive trip that you can. That's when I would look at, mate, to be honest. Crafty Ricky, I had a chat with a customer recently who advised they had the pond temp for Nisai at 30 degrees. Wow. What are the downfalls using extreme temps? Yeah, it's too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, your fish aren't going to die, not unless you get the oxygen levels incredibly wrong. But the issues with that and is oxygen. That is the absolute biggest problem, because even at 100% saturation, when you're at 30 degrees, it's such a low amount of oxygen that's still in the water. So that's what you really have to bear in mind. And that's why in a lot of Asian countries, they actually probably spend as much trying to cool that water down as we do trying to heat it up to get optimal temperatures. It's really going to be harsh on the pigment, especially sumi, that kind of temperature. The heat stress alone can have a big impact. But yeah, you're going to find that you can't actually feed as much at 30 degrees as you would at 25 because of the oxygen, and that really being the sole reason. The fish just get exhausted and it's too much for them. They require a lot of oxygen for digestion as well, and it's just not there. So your filter and everything is going to suffer generally, but you will keep them at that temperature and they'll be active. But then the issue is, because you can't get the amount of food down them that they need, you're going to get more length than body mass, and you're going to really struggle to get enough food down them to get the body mass up. So yeah, that's a whole different set of problems when you hit them temperatures, as I often do. And as I described, say, with my big fish, I've had water that warm this year several times, and it's just too much. So real optimum, for the peak growth, 24, 25, even for the bigger fish, it's a real peak temperature. I've heard a lot say, 22 is better. No, it's really not. If you really want to push that length on, 22 is better for growing, probably more proportionately with bigger fish, getting body and length. But if you really want to push the length hard, you need times at 24, 25, prolonged periods. To really do it, you just got to make sure you don't stretch them out too much at that point. Oh, there we go, folks. I don't know if I probably missed a few there in amongst things. How much food could 50 litres of K plus media process a day? If being honest, Richard, I've not got a clue. I don't keep up with all that stuff now. I can't even remember what it was. At one point, it was ingrained in me what K1 could process, but maybe Evolution Aqua's website will be a better one for you with that, to be fair. But yes, sorry, I can't be of much more use on that one. You see, that was back in my days working at the shop when I was proper salesman. So I had to know all my stuff inside out with stuff like that. These days, it's just not. I would just go the more the merrier with that kind of stuff. Oh, there you go. EA State 250 grams daily. Yeah, I think it was around 150, 200 grams with a standard media, and that's meant to be more efficient. So it would make sense. Right, let me just have a flick through, make sure I've really not missed anything jumping out at me. Oh, here we go. One there I did miss, actually. Got my koi inside for the winter. Heard you say in the past that that koi can lack UV. What can be the consequence of low or no UV since they're inside with no natural light? Yeah, generally that's hitting the pigment. That's where that really hits it. And you will find, even I'm finding it now, even exactly the same environment as the summer, but the UV intensity was just not strong enough at the moment. And it's, you naturally see the pigment sort of soften off a little bit because the UV is not driving it, which isn't a bad thing. But when you cut the UV completely indoors, you can send that pigment retracting back towards the scale. And the issue with this is when you've got prolonged periods of doing that, to get top color, it's a period over a number of years, like paint, putting coats of paint on. Every year comes, you're layering it up, layering it up, layering it up till you get to a certain age, and there you've spent all the pigment cells available. You've reached maximum coloration, like the Kohaku in that picture behind me, you know, flawless uniform color, and you've got there. And that needs to happen at a certain point. But what can happen is, you know, if you're going, you know, 6 months indoors, 6 months outdoors, it's just going to be using those 6 months to play catch up as opposed to progressing. What's happening with mine at the minute is it's just took the edge off the color, but it's not actually really causing me any issues in the long-term development. But if you're cutting that for such a period, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to just be playing catch up all the time and probably struggle to get that color to its absolute peak. Hence why lighting, and you know, there's some interesting products sort of come to fruition. I've just seen Narita Koi Farm actually installed some new lights from a company out in Japan that uses them for plant growing. And yeah, I know where he's using them and exactly why, because he's fully aware. It's actually a conversation I had with him at one point as well about fish house locations, and there was a certain area we were talking about, and he says it's not the best place. He says because the light's not strong enough. And, you know, even that alone, it probably tells you all you need to know about how important this is. It can also be, you know, damaging. Like I've said in the past, they can have too much. It's about getting that balance right with it and trying to control it as much as possible, to be fair. But certainly when there's none of it, it's not good. And you can take the color to a point where if you do that on fish that are too old and the pigment cells just aren't there, they're exhausted, you're not going to get that color to spread back either. But it is a bit of a mismatch when you see fish that are, you know, mature, as I have done, when they've been kept in certain environments in certain ways that are of a size where, you know, the pigment should be more progressed than what it is, but it's held off with people trying to say, I'm keeping it, you know, trying to keep the benny soft. At some point, you need to finish it. Because like I say, when you get a big fish that's still got the soft kind of looking benny of a 2-year-old, it looks stupid in truth. So yeah, good question, that one. Right, I suppose I should do a little bit of koi appreciation. And just before I do that, so I'm going to drop an offer now on Koi Talk magazines. Like I say, guys, I've just got a quick note on that to subscribers who are watching. We are a little bit behind with the issue that's due to go out because the Christmas period hit us, and this redesign, which I promise you're going to absolutely love what's happened. It's actually added another 10 pages to the magazine as well as the kind of article length, just how we've respread the imagery across it to get the look and feel that I wanted, has bumped it right up. So but yeah, the back issues, the current back issues, that's on the issue that's due out. But yeah, current back issues. So we've got a discount code. So there you go. Look, 50% off back issues available till midnight tomorrow. using the code QT50 for question time. So you can head over onto koitalk.com. And if you've got some missing out of your collection, feel free to use that code and get yourself an absolute bargain for the next 24 or so hours. So happy days. Right, so little bit of let's have a look. Koi appreciation, guys, and I'm not going to go too much in depth with all these, but this is mainly for you just to see some what I think are pretty epic fish. So the first one I'm going to start with is a Dainichi Kohaku. So this is the one that you will have seen in the video I dropped a couple of days ago on the Koi Wholesale channel. This is one I've grown from a batch of the 750 Toai Kohaku that I've got. They've actually been featured a few times throughout. And it's one that got selected. Evening, Steve. How you doing? Got selected and is being grown amongst the 30 best pieces I've got from pretty much all the different batches this year of the bigger size stuff. So yeah, really progressing. I was just having a very quick size check, just to see how they were doing, to help me again just assess food increases if needed. And this fish is actually owned by, it's one of a number of them that Sunnybank Koi bought from me. Is owned by them. I don't know if it's sold or not at the minute, but yeah, cracking piece, just stunning. And well, here we go. All the Dainichi characteristics really just come into fruition there with that one. I mean, just look how red and white it is. The body, the thickness and shine and luster of that Benny, the sharpness of the Kiwa, really nice depth to the sashi as well, you know, kind of indicating to me there's still so much more to come from that pigment as well in regards to that layering up and the depth that comes. But for me, I kind of sort of shared this fish on my Niskigo Journal Facebook page, because it's just, the minute I kind of got that open, I was just in awe. And it's just the joy I get from raising fish, you know, even if it was just that one out of those 750 done to that level, I would be super happy. There was a lot more than that. Let's just play it one more time. But yeah, delighted. And now that's at 52 cm. So having arrived circa around 15 cm within, you know, a 12-month period, got that up to 52. And my target now is just to get that to the 55, get a stack load more body on it at that point as well, and have it in a nice position ready for the proper growing season next year, when I'll be raising that fish through to Sanzai as well. But honestly, the kick I get from that, I think there's no better side to the hobby personally than raising Toai. It is phenomenal getting to do it. And say, if you can produce something like that, happy days. But yeah, the Dainichi as well. I mean, I think a few people have kind of asked me about, you know, where I'd be positioned, Dainichi or Saki. And honestly, that's a super hard question. But I think it's becoming easier and easier for me to say there's something real special about Dainichi. I don't know if it's because the operations in Niigata, they're still kind of, they're obviously of a massive scale, but I don't know if it's more that they're kind of that heart of a breeder, or they're so, for me, steeped in the history of things. But the Benny, I mean, the Benny you can't deny there, but just a really special breeder. And I'm hoping as well, actually, to be securing some the Mona Lisa lineage show, which I'm a huge fan of. I'm just working on something at the minute to hopefully bag a nice batch of them for this year. So fingers crossed that comes off, because that would be awesome. Right, next one I've got. This again, I've just got. This is a crazy little fish from Okawa Kaku again. And this fish, the pattern, you would say, has got its flaws in a couple of areas if you're being really nitpicky. But for me, it's one just to admire the qualities. The skin is so good, it looks doits. And the body line is just epic. And again, I think those two elements more than make up for this one area in the pattern you'd probably like to see a little bit more. But again, a fish I've raised through from a very small one. This is in a different growing pond at the minute, still pushing on at the minute. Just look how good that pigment is. it is insane. And that body line and body setup is just going to be vast. But look at that. Serious quality stuff. And that is my obsession, you know, is raising them to those standards that people expect to see. You know, that to me is the Japanese standard. Probably better than some of them guys do it, to be fair. They're not all masters of raising fish. Some they are just farmers in that respect. But for me, yeah, I mean, just insane quality of that Kiwa as well. And the sash is already quite refined on this. There's a nice soft depth to it, which again just tells me that there's plenty of elasticity there in that colour. But really can't wait to see that come on next year. Like I say, that is when the qualities can make up for, you know, a bit of inferiority in the pattern a little bit. It is saved a little bit by that tiny spot of Benny on that side. But I think as a Sansai, that is going to be absolutely mind-blowing, that fish. Right. Let's have a look. I'll just see Richard asking me what would be the picky part. It is just that one side of the pattern. You know, it'd be really love to see a little bit more balance in there. It has got the one spot. If it had a bit more there, that fish would have just gone to another level, but doesn't deny the quality of it. It's going to have a serious impact wherever it is. And like I say, as that size comes and it retains that quality, which I'm confident it will do, yeah, mega stuff. Right, just bear with me. I've got one more to share with you now. Yeah, this bit. So this batch of Toai I've got secured from Kansuke. Now, I've spoke about this breeder a few times. Absolutely love the guy. Just enjoy going up there, enjoying his koi with him. He loves sharing and just talking about stuff he's got going on. He's always very open with me about new parent fish he's got. He likes to show off. And this year, as I went up in autumn, secured some cracking Nisai. And as I was looking in the pond, he's like, "Ricky, come and have a look at the Toai." So they're the best I've had for years. And he just pulled the cover up and I had a look. I was like, oh my God, just sensational. So I did a deal with him on the spot to secure the lot because they were just too good to turn down. So his main speciality is Kohaku. It's been based on old Saki lines for a long time, but he's now been, he's digressing a little bit towards 3 new parent fishes used, which make up the majority of the fish in this Toai batch, all from Dainichi. He's got Dainichi Kinsen, which is from Dainichi Toyota, originates from the All Japan Koi Show winner, and primarily Mihara X from the other 2. And when he was showing me these fish, I mean, my God, the chance to have any offspring from fish like these is exciting. So yeah, if I just share this one with you, one of the 3 fish I was shown. So that is a Dainichi fish, one of the parent fish, circa about 80-ish cm, that one, 80, 85, somewhere in that region. I think it was only about 5 years old as well. Absolute beast. But my God, it's so nice to see where these fish come from. And yeah, you know, I've seen a slight variance in the body setup of the new Toai, and you can see where it's coming from. They are just insane. But just look at the quality of that in every way. Super refined. It's actually got the pattern as well, but super technical on all the other qualities that it's got going on. And the other 2 were comparable in quality to that. So I'm super excited. They're not in yet. They're on one of our scheduled shipments. But yeah, watch out for Kansuke fish coming this year, because absolutely shit up. And I think the big thing with these is what I'm interested to do. Kansuke is a slowly breeder in how he raises. And he's got big parent fish. The fish have always come from big parents. But his size, typically Nisai will be around 40 to 45, absolutely top end. Nisai 50 to 55, Sansai, sorry, around that. But they just slowly do, but it's absolute maximum quality at all points. And I've always wondered, and never had the fish around long enough to know, is that the lineage or is that the way he chooses to raise them? So I think the Toai coming around 18 to 23. Which is, again, a pretty normal size for his Toai. They'll often go into the mud pond at that size, even his Tatigoi, and come out. So they have these huge growth spurts. When you actually see his Nisai of around 40-ish cm, when all of a sudden these 50, 55 cm Sansai, the jump is so vast when you see them side by side for one season. Certainly when you bring the body into consideration as well. But yeah, I'm interested to see if I apply my raising techniques, which are a little bit more intense over a longer period, at what actual size they can be pushed to and still maintaining the quality. The only variable in it is this is obviously a new lineage. Really, I say new lineage. It's not completely because it uses existing males, but it is new female parents being used. So it will be super, super interesting to see what can be done with them. But trust me, the batch of fish is insane. So do look out for them because, yeah. And the best thing about it is as well, they don't carry the sort of brand tax either. You know, Kansuke's, he knows how to price a fish, to be honest with you. He really does. And that's something from day one I was quite surprised by. But when it comes to like the Toai like this, they're going to be super accessible for a lot of people. So let me just show you that one more time. Look at that. Wow. A lot of these fish, he's always looking. He kind of drops into hobbyist mode when it comes to stuff like this, looking in the auctions. It's amazing to always see how breeders see stuff that tends to get overlooked a lot. I don't think it's fair to say that fish probably didn't get overlooked. And one of the other ones actually that he showed me was equally as impressive, but it did have a slight issue around its gill plate. And like he said, even though it still cost him a lot, it's the only reason he could stretch to it was because of that, which as a parent fish is really not a problem for him and not a problem for the offspring either. But yeah, insane. Certainly one to look out for sure. So there we go, folks. Let's just bear with me 1 minute, see if I've missed anything. No, there we go. And I do need to get back home as well because I know still not out to eat yet and I'm getting pretty hungry, guys. So yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you like the new setup. Like I said, there's still a few more tweaks to come. Just only going to improve it from here. And next week, please tune in for another thing, another little mix up I'm going to be adding into the show every week as well. And yeah, don't forget Koi Talk magazine. If you want to get some back issues to top up your collection, or if you haven't got any yet and you're thinking of getting into it, great time there till midnight tomorrow. You can get 50% off all the back issues with that code on the bottom of there. What was it? QT50. There we go. Yeah. So best of luck with that one. And like I say, stay tuned for further announcements coming from our for our big event, Battle of the Breeders. I think we're going to go with that one. To be fair, you've seen it here live, coined. So in place of last year's Secret Saki, we're going for Battle of the Breeders, bigger, better, and yeah, coming soon. So thanks, guys, and yeah, I'll catch you next week.